Have you ever tried to trick someone, only to end up being the one tricked? Today's story is about a powerful emperor who thought he could outsmart a wise man, but he never expected what happened next. The wise man didn't just escape the trap, he turned it into a lesson that left the entire kingdom speechless. By the end of this story, you'll see how true wisdom is more powerful than any trick. Stay with me till the end to find out how it all unfolded. In a vast empire ruled by a cunning yet arrogant emperor, there lived a man named Harun. He wasn't a king nor a warrior, but his wisdom was legendary. People traveled from distant lands to seek his advice, for he had an answer to every problem. Harun didn't seek wealth or power. His only goal was to spread knowledge and guide those who needed it. However, not everyone admired him. The emperor, a man who desired to be the smartest in the land, felt threatened by Harun's growing influence. Every time someone praised Harun's wisdom, the emperor's ego burned. He thought, how can a mere commoner be respected more than me? One day, the emperor decided he would put Harun to the test. If he could trick the wise man into making a mistake, he could finally prove that Harun wasn't as wise as people believed. With a smirk on his face, he devised a challenge that he thought would be impossible to beat. Little did he know, Harun wasn't just wise, he was also a master of understanding human nature. And this challenge would soon become the emperor's greatest embarrassment. The emperor summoned Harun to his grand court, where hundreds of nobles had gathered. Sitting on his golden throne, the emperor spoke. Harun, I have a challenge for you. If you can answer correctly, I will grant you anything you wish. But if you fail, you must admit that you are not the wisest man in the kingdom. Harun nodded calmly. What is your challenge, my emperor? The emperor held out his hand, revealing a small bird. He smirked. Tell me, Harun, is the bird in my hand alive or dead? Harun immediately recognized the trick. If he said, the bird is alive, the emperor would simply crush it in his hand and prove him wrong. If he said, the bird is dead, the emperor would release it, letting it fly away to prove him wrong again. Either way, Harun would lose. The crowd watched eagerly. The emperor leaned forward, confident in his trap. Harun remained silent for a moment, his eyes scanning the emperor's face. He knew that the only way to win this challenge was not to play by the emperor's rules. And then he smiled, because he had already figured out the perfect answer. Harun slowly stepped forward, looking at the emperor's hand. The entire court held its breath, waiting for his answer. Then, with a calm and steady voice, he said, The fate of this bird is in your hands, my emperor. The emperor's smile faded. This was not the answer he had expected. Harun continued, If you choose to open your hand, the bird lives. If you choose to close it, the bird dies. But no matter what I say, the decision is yours. The room fell silent. The nobles exchanged glances, realizing the depth of Harun's words. The emperor had set a trap, but Harun had turned it back on him. The challenge was no longer about proving Harun wrong, it was about exposing the emperor's intentions. The emperor clenched his fist tightly, then slowly relaxed it. The bird, still alive, fluttered its wings and flew away. In that moment, the emperor realized that he had lost, not just the challenge, but his own credibility. Harun had revealed a powerful truth. Wisdom is not about knowing everything, but understanding how power and choices shape the world. The emperor had tried to trick the wise man, but in the end, he had only fooled himself. The court erupted into murmurs. Some whispered in admiration for Harun's intelligence, while others watched the emperor's face, waiting for his response. For the first time, the emperor found himself speechless. He had designed the perfect trap, yet Harun had walked out of it unharmed, proving once again why he was the wisest in the land. Realizing that he had been outwitted, the emperor forced a smile and tried to maintain his dignity. Harun, he said, you have answered well. You truly are a wise man. But deep inside, the emperor knew that he had been defeated in front of his entire court. Harun, however, did not gloat. He simply bowed and replied, Wisdom is not about winning or losing, my emperor. It is about understanding that power alone does not make a man great. His choices do. This response struck the emperor deeply. He had spent years trying to prove his superiority, yet in one simple moment, Harun had shown that true greatness came not from tricks, but from wisdom and humility. That day, something changed in the emperor. He no longer sought to compete with Harun. Instead, he began to value his wisdom, often calling him for advice. Not to test him, but to learn from him. Harun had won not just the challenge, but also the emperor's respect. Expanding the final scenes with deeper insights, the emperor's transformation, and Harun's lasting impact on the kingdom. Harun's answer spread throughout the kingdom, and soon people everywhere spoke of how wisdom had humbled power. The emperor, once known for his arrogance, began to rule with more thoughtfulness, consulting Harun on matters of justice and governance. The court, which once laughed at challenges, now listened to lessons. As years passed, the empire flourished, not because of tricks or force, but because wisdom had guided it forward. Harun's words became legendary, and his lesson was passed down for generations. What had begun as a simple test had turned into a moment that shaped an entire kingdom. And all because one wise man refused to play by the rules of a trickster. This story teaches us that true wisdom is not about proving others wrong, it's about understanding the bigger picture. Power can control the present, but wisdom shapes the future. The emperor tried to use his authority to trick the wise man, but in the end, Harun showed that real strength lies in knowledge, patience, and understanding. Whenever you face a challenge, remember, the outcome is always in your hands. Choose wisely. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more about wisdom, intelligence, and life lessons, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Harun's place? See you in the next story.